Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. It's so good to have you here with me again. I really hope you're having an amazing day, no matter where you are in this incredible world of ours. Today, we're diving into XRP, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. But first, and I can't believe I have to say this again, I've been scrolling through your comments, and some of you still think I'm an AI. Come on, guys. We've been over this so many times. If I were an AI, would I really make this many mistakes? I promise you, I'm 100% human, flaws and all. Now, let's get to the good stuff. When I look at XRP on the one-day chart, I'm getting seriously bullish vibes. We're currently sitting pretty at $2.61, and let me tell you why this has me excited. And if you look at the 7-day, you can see we're only about 22 cents away from where we were when the crash happened. Now, everybody thinks I really think we're about to see a breakout from this level, and here's why. If we look back at 2017, we saw something super interesting. There was actually a crash right before everything absolutely exploded to the upside. But here's the thing, and I've got to be completely honest with you. This crypto market, it's been totally unpredictable. Like, seriously, nobody has a crystal ball here. We're all just trying to read the signs as best we can. The reality is, we're still dancing to Bitcoin's tune. If something happens that sends Bitcoin tumbling, well, you know what that means. The whole market is going down with it. That's just how it works right now. Look, I'm genuinely optimistic that we're going to see that breakout I mentioned. The signs are pointing in that direction. But, and this is super important, when you're in crypto, you've always got to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Hope for the best, but plan for the worst, you know? And check this out. Bitcoin is back above $115,000. Can I just say I am so ready for this market to finally take off? I know you guys are feeling the exact same way because honestly, we've been through this roller coaster so many times now. You know what I'm talking about, right? We start climbing, the excitement builds, and you're thinking, this is it. This is finally the moment. You're getting ready for those crazy sleepless nights, refreshing your portfolio every 5 minutes, telling your friends, the bull run is here. And then, BAM. Something comes out of nowhere and pulls the whole market back down. It's like we keep getting teased, and honestly, it's both frustrating and exhausting. But you know what? I'm still hopeful. I really, really hope we keep pushing upward from here. We've earned this run, and I think we're all ready to see what this market can really do when it decides to go full beast mode. So right now, we're seeing this nice, steady, upward movement. And let me tell you what some of the big names are saying about this. Peter Brandt, and this guy knows his stuff when it comes to classical charting. He recently asked a fascinating question. Has there ever been a more pure, long-term chart? And he's talking about XRP. When someone with his experience says the chart looks absolutely bullish for this cryptocurrency, you better believe I'm paying attention. Then we've got Bill Morgan chiming in, and I love his honesty. He says, look, I'm not a chart guy, but all the chart experts I know think this looks really good. It's definitely not screaming sell right now. And here's where I need to get real with you for a second. If you're thinking about selling right now, I genuinely think you're going to kick yourself later. Seriously, the window to get XRP at these prices is closing fast. I truly believe we're about to witness the beginning of something big. That breakout everyone's been waiting for? I think it's coming very, very soon. XRP about to stage a repeat of 2017. Here's what happened last time. There was a flash crash, of course. They're talking about the breakout. What's really fascinating is that the XRP chart is looking incredibly similar to what we saw back in 2017. I mean, it's almost like we're following the same playbook step by step. It's actually pretty wild to see. But here's the thing, and I've got to keep it real with you. Anything could shake things up because this cycle, it's been absolute chaos from day one. Just when you think you've figured it out, something completely unexpected happens. Here's what I do know, though. Charts don't lie. The patterns are still playing out exactly like they should, and the price action is following along beautifully. Now, you've probably seen everyone and their brother trying to predict where the market's going next. Sometimes people nail it, but honestly, I think most of the time they just get really, really lucky. The bottom line is this. XRP is doing what XRP does best. It's following its own rhythm, building up that pressure. But here's my warning to you. When this thing finally decides to move, you're going to want to already be holding a bag. Because what's coming next? A parabolic run that's going to blow everyone's minds. Mark my words, it's absolutely coming, and you don't want to be watching from the sidelines. All right, so here's something really interesting I came across, and honestly, it's both exciting and frustrating at the same time. Once this government shutdown finally ends, we're looking at the floodgates opening for spot crypto ETFs. And here's the ironic part that I find absolutely mind-blowing. The very things holding these ETFs back, our growing debt crisis and all this typical political drama, are exactly the problems that crypto was designed to solve in the first place. Like, you can't make this stuff up, right? But here's what everyone's really waiting for. Those spot XRP ETFs that we've all been talking about. Everything was perfectly lined up for next week. We were so close I could practically taste it. But then, surprise, surprise, the government shutdown happened, and now it looks like everything's getting pushed back. Classic timing, isn't it? Just when we thought we were about to see some real progress, politics gets in the way again. It's frustrating, but honestly, this just gives us more time to position ourselves before the real fireworks begin. Okay, so here's the latest update, and it's not exactly what we wanted to hear. This government shutdown, it's now forecasted to last more than 35 days. If that happens, we're looking at the longest government shutdown in US history. And what does that mean for us XRP investors? Well, we're going to have to be a little more patient than we hoped. I really believe those ETFs were going to be the catalyst, the thing that would finally push XRP to lead us straight into alt season. But here's what I think people are completely missing. They're massively underestimating what's about to happen with XRP. The inflows into those ETFs, I think it's going to be way bigger than anyone realizes right now. When this finally gets rolling, I genuinely believe we're going to see records shattered every single day. And here's the kicker. The institutions aren't just sitting around waiting. They're already lined up, ready to flood into those ETFs the moment they get approval. So yeah, the delay is frustrating, but honestly, it just means the explosion is going to be that much more intense when it finally happens. All right, so I've got some more news on the regulatory front, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. TD Cohen is saying that the crypto market structure bill might have to wait until after the midterm elections, so we're potentially looking at another delay here, folks. They're suggesting this whole thing could get pushed all the way past the midterms, which would be, well, let's just say that's not ideal timing for any of us. But here's where I disagree with them, and this is just my take. I actually think they're going to fast-track this thing. I mean, think about it. There's way too much momentum building up, too much pressure from institutions, and honestly, too much money on the table for them to just let this sit around collecting dust until after the elections. Sometimes the political machine moves faster than people expect, especially when there's this much at stake. So while everyone's talking about delays, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some unexpected movement sooner than anticipated. I think this is going to get across the finish line sooner than later. We're waiting on this also, because market structure is going to be very good for utility cryptocurrencies. Not so much speculation, but cryptocurrencies that have actual use case and utility. And I think we're going to see some volatility today as well. All right, everyone, we've got some big news coming today that could seriously shake things up. US analysts are predicting that Jerome Powell is going to signal a rate cut. And let me tell you why this matters so much for us. If Powell comes out and hints at cutting rates, oh man, we could see the crypto market absolutely explode. This could be the spark that finally gets everything breaking out to the upside. It's exactly the kind of news that markets have been waiting for. But here's the flip side. And we've got to be prepared for this too. If he comes out sounding like he's going to pump the brakes on rate cuts, or worse, suggests no cuts are coming, well, that's not going to be pretty for crypto. Honestly, if that happens, I'm expecting we'll probably see a bit of a sell-off across the board. Nothing catastrophic, but definitely a pullback that might sting a little. So today's basically a make-or-break moment. We're either going to get the fuel we need for liftoff, or we're going to have to buckle up for a bumpy ride. Either way, it's going to be interesting. Then there's this... Trump is preparing to meet with Chinese president in Korea, says Treasury Secretary. So now we know the meeting is going to happen. Then this drop. Okay, so we've got some major drama unfolding right now that could really shake up the markets. The US and China are officially starting their trade war today. Like, literally today, with new port fees kicking in. China's saying these fees are totally justified as a countermeasure before the US hits them with those massive 100% tariffs. And guess what? Global markets are absolutely on edge right now. You can practically feel the tension. Here's what I'm wondering, though, and this is where it gets interesting. Are they actually trying to trigger a sell-off on purpose? Or is this just some kind of psychological warfare to create fear and uncertainty in the markets? Because honestly, sometimes these announcements feel more like mind games than actual policy moves. But here's my take on this whole situation. I genuinely think the president and China are going to find some middle ground that both sides can live with. Call me optimistic, but I believe they'll work something out, and when that happens, the market is going to bounce back hard. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. But in the meantime, buckle up because today is probably going to be a wild ride. Volatility is definitely on the menu. XRP open interest explodes after $32 billion influx. Now here's something really interesting that I want to break down for you. They're reporting that XRP's market cap shot up by $32 billion, which sounds absolutely massive, right? But here's the thing that most people don't realize. And this is where it gets a bit technical but super important to understand. When you factor in the market cap multiplier effect, the actual money flowing into XRP was probably way less than that $32 billion figure. We're most likely talking about somewhere in the millions of actual dollars coming in. I know that might sound crazy when you see that huge market cap number, but that's just how market cap math works. A relatively small amount of buying can create these massive market cap increases. But here's what really matters, and this is the exciting part. We already know without a doubt that the demand for XRP is absolutely there. People want it. Institutions are lining up for it, and that demand is only going to keep growing. So, while the actual dollar amounts might be smaller than those headlines suggest, the appetite for XRP, that's very real. And here's something we see happen every single time without fail. The moment XRP's price takes a dip, what happens? Everyone rushes in to buy that dip. It's like clockwork at this point. Why does this keep happening? Well, it's simple, really. The people who truly understand what XRP is built to do, they know exactly what they're holding in their hands. These aren't your average crypto traders who panic at the first sign of red. These are people who get it. When that crash happened recently, it was actually pretty amazing to watch. So many people didn't see it as a disaster. They saw it as a golden opportunity. They were literally rushing to scoop up more XRP because they knew this was their chance to add to their bags at a discount. And here's the psychology behind it. Nobody wants to be that person looking back 6 months from now thinking, man, I had the perfect chance to buy more when it was low, and I just sat there doing nothing. That FOMO of missing out on a buying opportunity, it's real, and it drives people to action every single time. Smart money recognizes a gift when they see one. And here's something we see happen every single time without fail. The moment XRP's price takes a dip, what happens? Everyone rushes in to buy that dip. It's like clockwork at this point. Why does this keep happening? Well, it's simple, really. The people who truly understand what XRP is built to do, they know exactly what they're holding in their hands. These aren't your average crypto traders who panic at the first sign of red. These are people who get it. When that crash happened recently, it was actually pretty amazing to watch. So many people didn't see it as a disaster. They saw it as a golden opportunity. They were literally rushing to scoop up more XRP because they knew this was their chance to add to their bags at a discount. And here's the psychology behind it. Nobody wants to be that person looking back 6 months from now thinking, man, I had the perfect chance to buy more when it was low, and I just sat there doing nothing. Whew. That FOMO of missing out on a buying opportunity? It's real, and it drives people to action every single time. Smart money recognizes a gift when they see one. So why was that the bottom? Let me break this down for you because it's actually fascinating when you look at all the pieces. We had $19 billion in liquidations, and I'm talking about all the longs getting wiped out. Even people with just 2 times leverage got completely wrecked. The panic sellers? They're gone. Open interest dropped like a rock. We hit extreme fear levels, and everyone was screaming, the top is in! It's over! But here's what I think really happened. This wasn't just some random flash crash. This was a complete market reset, clearing the deck before the real parabolic run begins. And honestly, I think this was the final shakeout we needed before we break out to new heights. Now, I saw so many people trying to panic sell during this chaos. Twitter was going crazy with people saying, I can't sell my crypto. Coinbase is down. Uphold won't work. Everyone was freaking out about the exchanges being down, but you know what? That might have been the best thing that could have happened to those people. Because there's absolutely no way you should have been selling into that crash. You should have either been buying more or just sitting tight and doing nothing. Here's my golden rule, especially if you're new to crypto. Never sell on red days. I cannot stress this enough. You buy when there's blood in the streets. When everyone's panicking and losing their minds, that's your buying opportunity, not when everyone's celebrating and getting euphoric. And speaking of people calling tops, get ready to hear the top is in about 1,000 times over the coming months. Everyone wants to be the genius who called the exact top. So literally every single day you'll see someone saying, XRP's topped out, take profits now. And then we'll just watch the price keep climbing higher. Look, there are going to be pullbacks along the way. That's just crypto being crypto. Most people don't want to talk about that part. They love saying, it's going to be up only for weeks, but nobody mentions the inevitable dips that happen. If you've been in crypto for a while, you should be used to these roller coasters by now. The key is paying attention to what's happening in the bigger picture. What world events are unfolding? What are people saying? How much institutional money is flowing into those ETFs? There's going to be so much to watch during this alternate season. And here's what makes this cycle completely different. Institutional money is going to be here for the very first time in a serious way. Most people aren't even factoring that into their predictions. When you see those conservative predictions of XRP hitting $7 to $9, they're not accounting for the ETFs. They're not considering ISO 2022. They're not thinking about regulatory clarity or the possibility of Ripple getting a banking license. And they're definitely not factoring in the market cap multiplier effect. So when you see those low predictions, just remember, they're basing that off normal cycle patterns from the past. But this cycle, it's been completely different from day one, and I don't think we've seen anything yet. But seriously, when you pull up that XRP chart and see it sitting pretty at $2.60, and then you zoom out to that 7-day view and watch this beautiful steady climb we've been on. I mean, come on. How can you not be absolutely bullish right now? It's not some crazy volatile pump that makes you nervous. It's this consistent, gradual upward movement that just screams strength. That's the kind of price action that gets me genuinely excited because it feels sustainable, you know? If you're looking at this chart and you're not feeling bullish, I honestly don't know what it would take to convince you. So what's next? If we keep pushing upward like this, I'm genuinely expecting us to hit a real breakout at some point. And here's the thing. It'll probably start with Bitcoin leading the charge, just like it usually does. Now, they're saying Bitcoin's cycle is going to be prolonged this time around. Everything seems to have slowed down since that crash happened, and now Bitcoin needs to rebuild confidence before it can smash through to new all-time highs. That's exactly why Bitcoin's marketing team is absolutely everywhere in the mainstream media today. They're working overtime. But here's where I might disagree with some people. Once Bitcoin finally peaks, and I think that's going to happen way sooner than most people expect, we're going to see something amazing. I keep hearing people say Bitcoin's going to run all the way until this time next year, but honestly, I'm not buying it. I think Bitcoin's probably going to top out by the end of 2025. And then, this is where it gets exciting. The alts are going to absolutely explode into 2026. That's when XRP's time to shine really begins. But we've also got to think about utility here. Is utility actually driving XRP's price? How much real-world adoption are we seeing? Are we witnessing the early stages of something massive with tokenization? These are the questions that could change everything. Listen, here's what I'm telling you. There's so much happening right now that you need to consider before even thinking about taking profits. You don't want to be that person who sells at $10 and then watches XRP rocket past $20 or $30, kicking yourself thinking, I should have waited. That's why I always say, step back and look at the bigger picture. Make it part of your strategy to constantly check the pulse of what's happening. What are people saying? What are the banks doing? What moves is the president making? Does the sentiment around XRP look bearish, or is everyone still riding that euphoric wave? How much retail FOMO is building up? There's honestly so much to watch because this cycle is completely different from 2017. Sure, the charts might look similar, but we've got way more catalysts this time around. Like, seriously, way more. So until all these pieces fall into place, here's my advice. Stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching.